Hi, it's host Zachary from Talking to Famous People, the INTP, and in this video I want to talk about my experiences of, becoming a man, so to speak. I currently 19 years old, and I am entering adulthood, and in doing that, I find myself with certain duties, and my understandings of my own identity and how that relates to my environment, the people around me, and my community is something that's becoming actualized to me. Something that's becoming more, is becoming more profound in my conscious awareness. I can I can only speak for myself. Growing up as a young boy, I can't necessarily speak for the experience of women, but uh, it seems to me that there are. So I grew up with an ESFJ father, and he exhibited very, I suppose, masculine traits. Um, Sort of this, hard work ethic, not much complaining, sort of repression of emotions, kind of almost very selfless in some ways. I mean, it's very selfish in some other ways, but I mean, he was very selfless in the sense that he he would do a lot. He would sacrifice a lot for his family, and that was one of the things I think that he would still hold in like high regard. He would hold as a very important vector in his life. And as I develop into a man now, as I enter adulthood, the the dawning of becoming a man, so to speak, is something that I'm fully aware of. I think it I think it has a lot of traits that tie in with something like Stoicism, the philosophy. I think there are a lot of parallels there in sort of developing into a man and sort of actualizing your own virtue. So basically, some of the thoughts in Stoicism as a school of thought, something along the lines of you're restricted by the natural laws of things. You don't necessarily choose your own environment. You don't necessarily choose your own circumstances, and you don't choose the community you're born in. You may not even choose the thoughts that come to your head, right? You don't choose the abilities you have. But regardless of all of this, the one thing you do have control over is your own will. And in recognizing that, it's important to, or I guess the Stoics would argue that the best way for someone to live as a way of life would be to actualize their self such that you live with virtue, and I guess virtue meaning uh, abstaining from behavior that indulges in anger, envy, jealousy, uh, choosing to refine yourself. So the way of living should be sort of like an art, and you refine yourself through your own will by choosing not to indulge in behavior that would be seen as unjust, such as, I guess, compromising on others' will, holding hatred towards others, engaging in like self-pity, basically engaging in or letting your emotions run you, sort of having a having a strict control over your own emotional states, having a control over your own impulsive desires. It's basically says that you are restricted to certain laws, natural laws, and the goal of a man or a of someone living a Stoic way of life would be to refine your own self, to refine your will, so that you don't indulge in these natural inclinations and sort of live as a higher state of being, a higher state of living, more refined state of living. And I think about this, and I see ways in which it relates to my own life as becoming a man. And areas in which I see that is that I feel a sort of obligation to, well, first I feel it's best to live in a way of virtue, so that you don't bring harm to the members of your community, you don't bring harm to people in your personal relationships. You choose to continue in spite of struggle, in spite of difficult times. And as I was younger, I didn't respect virtues such as that. I didn't respect any sort of, I guess, I didn't think there was really a special way to live. I think that was mostly due with my sort of contrarian personality, where I saw my almost rebellious against my father. My father was very he was almost a sort of caricature of masculine and sort of anti-emotional traits. I mean, he's an ESFJ, so he tried to control me through emotions, but his actions, his outward actions, were generally very very almost traditional masculine roles, you know. So that led me to not really to believe, I guess, I didn't really have any sort of mode I would fit in, any sort of any sort of form that I was necessary to fit in living. I thought it was kind of silly that he strived to be like that, kind of. I suppose whether consciously or not. But now I think about myself and, you know, the ways I want to live, how I want to form my identity to my environment. And I feel an obligation. You know, I didn't choose any skills I have, any values I hold are mostly defined because of my culture. The culture I grew up in, the nation I grew up in, and in the local community I grew up in. And myself has sort of been my own progression and development as a child into the man I am now came as a result of the community that I'm in. And so I feel an obligation to utilize the skills that I didn't choose to have to help benefit my community and the people around me. I think it's important to sort of eschew the negative mindsets that come with living. I think that regardless of the person, I think every individual experiences their own stress, their own depressive states of mind. And I guess to me, developing as an individual and becoming a man, so to speak, sort of comes with developing an inner virtue of repressing thoughts that are, you know, compromised of self-pity or negative thoughts towards my fellow men, my fellow members of my community, my family. I think those are very important values, and I think the best way at the least myself to live. I'm not necessarily to the point where I think someone ought to live a specific way yet, but I think the way I should live is to sort of give back to my community in some way. You know, not engage in behavior that would be seen as harmful to my community, to my society. And I should engage in productive behavior, and that includes not giving in when depressive mindsets hit you, and not giving in when struggles hit you, because we're all restricted to our natural laws. You have no real choice. As so as a parent, you have no real choice over the type of circumstances that you are presented. But the one thing that you do have choice over is how you choose to navigate those experiences, and how you choose to present yourself to the members of your community, to the circumstances in which you are, I guess, put into. And I think the way, one of the roads to fulfillment as an individual, as a man, would be to go down a path of higher ethics and higher virtue, and restrict national inclinations toward, I guess, addictive behavior, national inclinations toward destructive behavior, and that would be negative emotions and negative actions towards a member of my societies, and towards my society and community. And I think I think that's kind of in line with what the Stoics thought, sort of what the Stoics were tapping into. You know, I think that it's important I value logic a lot. I think I would prefer the hard logic over feelings a lot of the time. But I don't think that valuing hard logic is. I think you can do that, and it doesn't consist of eschewing good behavior toward your community, if that includes being empathic and being a good man. I think that's what I'm going to strive for. I think it's the best thing for me to do is to operate in a way and choose to deal with situations and other people in my life with a higher perspective, more mature perspective, and I think that adopting a mindset such as virtue would be an honorable way of dealing with life struggles and the negative behavior of other people. Thanks for watching.